crazy thing is, the truth between you and I? The money I got from helping Cy Lawrence, I paid for that 10 times over in karma.
Yeah, there you go.
That 18, I think I got 18,000. When I got arrested, my attorney bill was 18,000. I mean, it was just,
there you go.
It always came back to haunt me, that 18,000 fucking dollars. So at the end, you don't really win nothing. You just buy some fucking time for yourself. I remember I fell in front of a fucking sneaker store. And here's how even crazy it got. I fell in front of that sneaker store, but they sold the sneakers I liked. That's how I knew the hole was there in the sidewalk. And I went back there 6 months later to get a pair of Adidas. And I was in a rush. I had to get the fuck out of there. I had to catch a bus or something. And I just took the box. And when I got to Aspen, Colorado, I put the sneakers on. One was a 12, the other one was a 9.5. I had to walk like a schmuck with a 9.5 and a 12. And I got an ingrown toenail and fucking... So there you have it,
there
folks.
You go.
Karma is always a motherfucker. So now, David Chase got you on the phone. Did you shit your pants when he called you?
No, he didn't call me. I had been signed by an agency after I won the film festival, and they said, they'd been calling me, and they said, listen, you got a meeting. And I said, look, I've told you guys 1,000 times. I'm a working lawyer. I can't just fly out to L.A. I'd only been with them a couple of months. And they said, no. This isn't in L.A. It's in New York. And I go, who the hell in New York? And then it just hit me, and I'm like, don't tell me. And they're like, yeah, David Chase, Sopranos. He loves your script. Can you go meet with him? And I said, yeah, I can go meet with him. So I went over there, and it was, Silver Cup Studios in Queens. Yeah. And there's that parking lot right across the street. It has a big chain link fence around it, so you got to park and then walk all the way around to get to Silver Cup. And I've told the story before because it's the truth. I parked the car, and I got out. I started walking around the fence. And I remember looking at the sidewalk, looking at the cracks in the sidewalk, trying not to step on. And I said to myself in my head, I was like, okay, asshole, next hour, 60 minutes determines the rest of your fucking life. You got 60 minutes. You're going to be happy the rest of your life. You're going to be miserable. So I went in there, and we talked. And I talked about story and character and that kind of stuff. And he talked to me about my script. He told me he thought my script was very funny, very real. And he said to me, look, but I understand you're an attorney. When are you going to have time to do this? And I looked him right in the eyes, and I fucking lied. And I said, well, the good news is, Mr. Chase, is it's December, and the holidays are coming up. And I took an early vacation. My vacation starts tomorrow. The truth is, I had a trial starting the next day. And he said, great. And so he said, let me talk to your agents. So I left, and I got a call from my agents that night. I was living in Long Island, and Long Beach. I was living in Long Beach, and in this tiny apartment in this house, one of these big old houses built right on the block before the boardwalk. And they had an apartment. The apartment was the old maid's quarters. So it had a separate staircase, separate entrance. It was tiny. And in the winter, the wind would blow through that thing off of the ocean. It was, my wife and I would go to bed at 6:30 because we were just too fucking cold. We needed to get under the covers. And the phone rings, and that's the first thing I learned about Hollywood. When the phone rings and there's two agents on the phone call, it's good news because they both want credit for it. They both want credit for giving you the good news. And they were both on the phone, and they said, congratulations, he wants you to write an episode of The Sopranos. I'll never forget that feeling. I said to my wife, I was so amped up. I said, we got to go for a walk. Now, it's December on the boardwalk at 10 o'clock at night because it was 7 in L.A., and we went out and we walked. I'm like, let's just walk the boardwalk. Let's walk the boardwalk. And we were both so excited. And I'm walking the boardwalk, and we walked maybe 100 yards. I'm like, fuck this. Let's get the fuck out. I'm freezing my ass off.
When he called you, did he give you parameters for the script?
Well, then I had to go back in and meet with him, and he gave me a piece of paper. I sat down with him and Terry Winter, who did Boardwalk Empire, who's a friend and a very nice man, and he was very good to me. Because after that meeting, Terry came up to me and he said, listen, it's a freelance. And this is the height of The Sopranos mania. It was between seasons 2 and 3. Season 1, it was a breakout hit. Season 2, people got nuts, and people couldn't wait for season 3. And Terry Winter came up to me after the meeting, and he said, listen, here's the deal. I want this to be a good experience for you. Here's my home number. Here's my cell number. Here's the direct line to my office. You have any questions while you're doing this, just give me a call. He didn't need to do that for some freelance schmuck who had never had anything produced in his life. And he's just a nice guy, Terry. He's always been nice to me. And so we sat down, and what it was one sheet of paper at this point. That was it, one sheet of paper with a bullet point. And there were about 50 bullet points, each for a scene. And each bullet point had one sentence. You know, Tony talks to AJ about football practice. I'm making stuff out of him. That kind of stuff. And then he'd say, yeah, in this scene, we're looking for this or that or whatever. And I was just jotting down notes. And I went home and I wrote. I was writing it at night. I wrote it on the weekend. I finished it in about 5 days. And I remember David Chase called me and he said, I heard from Terry that you're almost done. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, are you sure? This is really fast. And I'm like, no, I'm rereading it, but I'm done. I feel good about it. He's like, okay, send it on in. And the one thing that law school did for me and being a lawyer did for me is I'm fast. I wrote my last novel in 8 weeks. And if you give me a good outline on a network television show, you give me a good outline, I'll have you a script in 36 hours. I gave him the script. He turned around, called me up, and he said, listen, I got it. Thank you for your work. There was a C story in it about AJ having a crush on a girl. He's like, we decided we don't want to do that story. So we're going to put in a new story there. It's like 4 or 5 scenes. And he said, but, I'll never forget it. He said, I want you and your wife move to LA, go write. You're going to have a successful career. You're going to be a writer. And I was on the Northern Parkway in New York in traffic when he called. And, no, I was on Northern Parkway after I left his office, after he gave me the beat sheet. I was on Sunrise on Long Island when he called me and gave me that. And that was very nice of him to say. And the last time I ever talked to him, guy just came into my life, sprinkled fairy dust on my head and said, I'm going to change your life. I never talked to him again. A few years ago was the 10-year anniversary of me getting that job. I sent him a very nice bottle of wine with a note that said, thank you very much for the opportunity 10 years ago. You changed my life. I sent one to Terry Winter. And Terry and I keep in touch every once in a while. We'll email. David Chase is when Slip and Fall, the novel came out, I thanked him in the book. He was one of the people I thanked because the guy changed my life. He wouldn't know me if I went outside and he hit me with his car. He'd be like, who's this bald fuck that I hit with my car? He wouldn't know who I am. But changed my life.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
How did you take it in classes in college or just because for the second thing you ever wrote, it sounds like to be writing Sopranos, were you nervous or was it just you didn't even know to be nervous?
We're going in like fucking Marines, you understand me?
Welcome to church, motherfucker.